I think if we had to sum it up, Hasidic philosophy approach to being a Jew is that being a Jew does not involve a religion. Judaism is not a religion, and Jews historically are not good at being religious. It's just not our style. We stood at Mount Sinai and God said, don't make graven images. 40 days later we said, see, we're not the religious type. We're not easily convinced. Because for all practical purposes, religion has basically, I don't know, deteriorated or just evolved into a certain lifestyle, a certain behavior that brings you some spiritual or heavenly benefits. It'll get you to heaven, it'll protect you from Satan, it'll give you enlightenment. That's a religion. You make a deal. I'll give up some of my physical comforts, you give me some spiritual benefits. Or in different words, to be religious means you want to get a little closer to heaven. In some way, whatever. The Hasidic approach is, God never asked us to do that. He came down to Mount Sinai to tell us how to bring him down to earth, not get us to heaven. So we're going in an opposite direction. Judaism is not a religion because we're not trying to become more spiritual. We're trying to make God more physical. Because the whole point of creation is that with our efforts, we can make a physical world into a godly world. So we're really serving God because he created the world for a purpose, and it can't happen without us. So we're truly serving his purpose, not trying to get something from him. And that changes everything. For one thing, let's say you haven't been very religious for 50 years. And then one day you wake up and say, I'd like to, I want to be good. A little late, don't you think? I mean, if you want to be among the saints when they come marching in, you blew it. You're not going to be among the saints. So it's discouraging. On the other hand, if you're here to serve God and you haven't served him for 50 years, well, what are you waiting for? By all means, do it now. What you did to yourself is beside the point. So you were corrupt, you were indifferent, you didn't care. All right. But God is still waiting for our service to do what we can for his purpose. So if you didn't do it yesterday, okay, so do it today. There's less of a judgment on ourselves, and there's more a concern with, have we made the world better? So if you haven't made the world better all your life, should you hesitate to do it today? Or is there all the more reason to do it today? You haven't done much until now, we'll get started. So there's much more forgiveness in Judaism than in any religion. Because in the religion, you're trying to make yourself special. Well, if you didn't, you didn't. You blew it. Not going to get special after 50 years of not being special. But the objective is not to become special. So we really should not consider Judaism a religion. So everybody talks about the Judeo-Christian. No. They're going in opposite directions. Christianity benefits from God when they observe Christianity. In Judaism, God benefits from us. Very different. The beauty of Judaism versus other religions, or religions, is that it's also the antidote to narcissism. Because we're by nature pretty selfish creatures. And we're actually encouraged to think about ourselves first. You have to love yourself, you have to validate yourself, you have to take care of yourself. And then on top of that, religion comes along and says, you also have to save yourself, you have to get rewarded in heaven. It's just more and more me, me, me. And it really makes us sick. Eventually, you're just choking on, enough already about me. Stop it. So if, one more salesman knocks on the door and says, I have a way to make your life better, I'm going to shoot him. Enough. Get me past myself. I got myself, all right? I don't need help with that. So all the pop psychology, you have to love yourself. I do. You have to validate yourself. I do. You have to do what you feel comfortable. Yes, yes. Tell me something I don't know. So when you come along and say, whatever your talents are, whatever your strengths are, whatever your weaknesses are, can you take a break and do something for God? Like for 10 minutes? No? Can't do that? So to find out that God needs us is really the antidote to I need everything. So here's the choice. According to Hasidic philosophy, the choice in life is, do you want to be needy or do you want to be needed? That's it. The whole story of life. If you're needy, you're never going to be happy. If you're needed, you have no reason to ever be sad. It makes sense? So who needs you? Who needs you? Well, whoever created you, I hope. Because if you were created for no reason, then there is no reason. Then nobody needs you. So the punchline of the whole thing is, and you got to chew on this for a while, we got God all wrong. He needs us much more than we need him. Because he created us. We didn't ask him. We didn't demand to be created. He did it. Obviously, he's after something. So how did we become the needy ones? So when you think, hey, I didn't create the world, so what do I need? I don't need anything. Somebody created the world, that guy's got an agenda. So if we could find out what his agenda is, then we know why we're here. If he doesn't have an agenda, then you're here for nothing. Does this sound like religion? Or like common sense? It's psychologically really, really healthy. As soon as you start thinking about your needs, you're getting depressed. No matter how many of your needs are met or how many of your needs are not met, as soon as you start thinking, I need, you're depressed. The happiest people are the people who don't seem to need much, but if they can do you a favor, they love it. You know any such people? You know one such person? They're so much fun to be with. They're so easy to be with. They don't depress you because they're not depressed. So that's the Hasidic approach. Now, if you look at the Torah, if you look at Judaism in its source, you realize that is actually what the Torah is saying. When God gives us a commandment, what is he saying? Behave yourself? Oh, Dr. Phil can tell you that. God is saying, this is what I need. So if you have a few minutes, can you help me out? So I need you to join me when I observe Shabbos, because I rested on the seventh day. So if we could reread the entire Torah in God's voice, like it was his personal diary. Isn't that fascinating? How does the Torah read? It's a little confusing. In the beginning, God created. Who's talking? Who's the narrator? Who just said that? Moses? Then what do you do with, and God spoke to Moses saying? Who wrote that? If we changed it, not in the beginning God created the heaven and earth. In the beginning I created heaven and earth. And it was dark, so I said, let there be light. Make it personal, because that's what it is. And then I created people, and they got so bad I had to wipe them out. So I flooded the whole thing and started all over again. If you put it in God's voice, everything changes. It's not a religion. And you are not asked to be religious. So, it sounds a little ironic, but you're more religious than me. Because I'm not religious at all. I think that would be a good development. We've got to stop calling ourselves religious and then classifying how religious or in what way we are religious. We're Jews. Period. End of story. Who are the Jews? Going back to anti-Semitism. Who are the Jews? The Jews are the people God turns to when he needs something. That's us. And pretty much we're not perfect, but we're doing what he needs. We try our best to serve him. Anybody wants to join us and become Jewish, and fine. But that's what it is. So a little bit, I suspect, that some of the anti-Semitism, not the actual criminals, but the fact that people are a little uncomfortable with Jews. Nice people. They're not going to mug you. They're not going to paint a swastika on your door. But Jews, they don't know what to make of it. Partly because we have never identified ourselves properly. And if you remain a mystery, people become suspicious. So who are you? We're just Americans. We're just Germans. And they say, no, you're not. Who are you really? And we don't know what to say. When's the last time somebody asked you what it means to be Jewish and you said, well, we're the chosen people? Did you ever say that? Never say that. They say it. Oh, so you think you're the chosen people? No. Yeah, you do. So if we can't come across simple, transparent, clear, who are you? They become suspicious. What are you hiding? And even good people become uncomfortable with us. So I think we would all be better off, and the world would be better off, if we were more upfront about who we are. We are not a religion. We are the chosen people, chosen to fulfill God's purpose for which he created the world. And if you guys want to help us out, gladly use your help. That's what you say to your non-Jewish friends. I think they would like it. We had a church group come to the Chabad house in Minnesota, where I live. And I asked them, what are you looking? Why are you coming? Why are you? And they said, well, every year they come from a little town in South Dakota, And they come into Minneapolis because that's the big city. And they visit Jewish establishments, Jewish organizations. So they said, last year we visited a temple, and it was a little confusing. Because the kids asked the rabbi there, how does it feel to be the chosen people? And the rabbi said, there are no chosen people. We are all the same. We are all equal. We're all God's children. And these kids, it was a Bible class, whatever, young kids, on the bus on the way home, they were saying, did he never read the Bible? Or does he think we never read the Bible? We know they're the chosen people. Why did he say that? So we got to stop trying to fool people, because it's not working. You're the chosen people. What are you going to do about that? We've tried for 1,000 years to play it down. It's not working. And that's why when Jews don't behave properly, people get more upset than if anybody else misbehaves. Because you're supposed to be the chosen people. Look at the way you're behaving. So if we really are the chosen people, what should we do? Not only we should behave like chosen people, but we should be the teachers of the world. Imagine a teacher comes into the classroom, sits down at one of the desks and says, so what's going on? The whole class is going to hate him. You're the teacher, teach. No, I'm one of you. No, you're not. Either teach or get out of here. I think that's what the world is saying to the Jewish people. Are you the chosen people? Then teach us something. If you're not teaching anything, then get out of here. That's what the Germans said, that's what the Poles said, that's what the Ukrainians said. We don't belong here. And now we're being told we don't belong in Israel either. So where do we belong? At the head of the class. If you're here to teach, you're welcome. If you're just trying to be one of us, you're not one of us. That's not bad news. Does it make any sense to you? So you're chosen? You're still a little hesitant about that. Are you the chosen people? Did you choose to be the chosen people? No, because it's not about us. See, if we chose to be the chosen people, then it would be a religion. We didn't choose to be chosen. We don't need anything out of this world. We certainly don't need anything from heaven. God created the world. He needs something. And if I can do something for him, why not? It's a good opportunity. So instead of having a competition about who's going to get to heaven first, which is ridiculous, let's have a competition about who can make this world better. And the result is going to be, you have a better world. And that's what God created it for. Yes? No?
So how do we make the world better?
How do we make the world better? Any ideas? I think the world's in trouble.
Mm. What do you think, anybody?
There are people who believe that God is love. And they worship God and they believe in God because He's love. But that means that they worship love. Because if God is love, then love is God. And I think we're suffering from that. Because in popular thinking, love is the answer to everything. More love, better world. More love, better marriage. More love, better children. It's not working. Everybody for the last 80 years got married out of love. Are marriages doing well? Not at all. Everybody loves their children. That means children are happy at home? No. So will somebody please admit that love is not working? Love is not important. It's an idol. It's a false god. Love is not important. When someone is important, you should love him. If he's not important, loving him is not going to make him important. If somebody's important in your life and you don't love him, he's still important. Want to say something?
Do you think that you don't need love to have a successful? So you're saying that you don't need love to have a successful marriage?
Right.
Did you love somebody to get married to them?
No. Down with love.
They just saw Fiddler on the Roof last night, the
Yeah.
Yiddish subtitles.
And
Robert, do you love me? What was Goldie's answer?
yeah,
What was her answer?
what was her
I
answer?
suppose I do.
Yeah, but what does she
And
say
that's pretty
with the
pathetic.
evidence of her love for him?
Did they do everything together?
Yeah, it's all the stuff she does for him. I once heard a rabbi, and so this is her once, that it's not that you love someone and therefore you do stuff for them, but that you do stuff for a person and then you come to love them. Do you agree?
And if you happen to not love your kid, what do you do?
Have another one.
How about,
Sound like you come from experience there.
how about you have 5 and you don't like any of them? Have a 6th? No, really, what does a parent do if he doesn't like his kid? Divorce him? Throw him out?
Tries to love them.
Huh?
Tries to love them.
Try to love. Why?
Because it's their kid.
Ah, you
They're
see?
raising them.
You see? So it's because you're mine. I'll work for you, I'll save you, I'll protect you. Sometimes I'll even hate you, but you're mine. So hate is not a threat. It doesn't end the relationship. So unconditional love, that's silly. If you love me unconditionally, you don't even know who I am. Because you made up your mind. So no matter what I do, it's not going to affect you. So are you loving me or are you living your fantasy? Love should be earned. When I'm lovable, love me. When I'm hateful, hate me. Notice me, talk to me, right? Respond to me. What should be unconditional is, don't ever stop being my mother. So that's why marriage does not depend on love. Marriage is a real relationship. You can love me or hate me, but you're mine. You know what the great value of that is? Imagine, it's a scary thought. Imagine a husband comes home and says to his wife, you know, I really love my secretary. I really love her. Is that a threat to the marriage?
Yes.
It shouldn't be. When you get married, you're not allowed to love anybody else. That's ridiculous. You love one person your whole life? It's not a threat to the marriage. I love her, I love him, I love them, but I'm married to you. You are my family. You are my life. So I can't love anybody?
Doesn't usually work like that when the secretary's involved, though.
I know, because there is a definite threat. Because we believe that you always follow the love. So if a husband comes home and says, I love somebody, you're threatened. But it shouldn't be that way.
But does that mean that they're not happy with you anymore?
No. No, it doesn't. You see, the marriage has to be much stronger than a feeling. Because feelings change. Marriage doesn't change. But if the whole marriage depends on my mood, then it's dangerous to let me out of the house. So everybody lives on the edge all the time. It's very stressful. So every time a husband walks out the door, the wife is sitting there worried. Maybe he'll find somebody prettier. And there are prettier people. And that's it? Then I'm out? Of course not. You see? Same thing is true with God. We don't serve God because he's love, and we don't serve him because he's powerful and almighty and can punish you. We serve him because he's our creator. Is he wonderful? Sometimes. Sometimes we're angry at him. Is that okay? The people who survived the Holocaust came out of the concentration camps. Do they have a right to be angry at him? And if they're angry at him, they're not Jewish anymore? Sure they are. In fact, they're good Jews. So it's okay to be angry at God. He's your God. Love him, hate him, scream at him. But he's your God. Same should be true with a marriage, and certainly with children. So, the conclusion of it all is, this is not a religion. We're not trying to get to heaven. We don't want to go to heaven. Nothing wrong with staying right here. So heaven is not a goal. A better world, that's a good goal. Yes, no? So what are you going to do to make the world better? I think a very powerful message to share with everyone you talk to. Stop being religious. Just do the right thing. And what's the right thing? Whatever it is God wants. He says don't kill, then don't kill. He says don't steal, then don't steal. He says observe the Sabbath, honor your parents, so do it. You don't have to be an expert, just do it as well as you can. So if you observe this coming Sabbath, you don't work, you don't turn on lights or anything.
No cell phones.
But then the next, the cell phones.
Right.
And then the next Shabbos, you're not going to keep it. Should you bother keeping it once in a while? Or is that not worthwhile? If you're trying to prove how religious you are, you're wasting your time. Because keeping Shabbos once in a year isn't going to prove anything. But if you want to do something for God, do it once. That means a lot. Not going to do it again? Well, so if you can put on tefillin today, you're not going to do it again tomorrow? Okay, do it today. This is not about you. This is about him. And as soon as it stops being about me, I'm a happier person. You take the load off me. I'm not so self-conscious. It's a relief. It also makes us all the same. Whether you put on the tefillin or I put on the tefillin makes absolutely no difference. It's exactly the same to him. So does the world become better when you put on tefillin? Does the world become better when a girl lights a Shabbos candle? Yes, it's becoming more like his kind of world. His kind of world. Probably a good world. So what are you hoping to accomplish with this tour?
Wait a minute, before we go there.
Yeah.
So the point is then that any mitzvah you do has that potential to be bringing God more into the world and into your life. So I've asked that question before, how do we make the world a better place? The answer is by doing a mitzvah. Better to do it regularly, but better to do it occasionally than not at all. What about the fact you do it and it doesn't do anything for you? I mean, how would you, based on what you've said, it doesn't really matter. Like how many of you go into shul or services and you just say, you know what, they really didn't do anything for me. Or something like that. Yeah, gotcha. Jonah, okay. Yeah, you've had that feeling, right?
Yeah.
So based on what you've heard now, what might be a different way to look at that per se? I'm not necessarily saying that you accept it right now, but what might be a different way to phrase it or frame it?
You could look at going to services as a way, as you said, to bring God more. So you're not doing yourself a service, but you're doing everyone a service.
So if you think about Pittsburgh, the contrast. People, what they were doing, and the shooter, what he was doing. That's so clear. They were doing something for God, he was doing something for himself. He was venting his own whatever. So imagine a very hungry man knocks on your door and says, I'm starving, can you please give me something? And you say, no, I don't need this. This doesn't do anything for me. What would the guy say? I didn't ask if it does anything for you. I'm the one who's starving. When God asks us to do a mitzvah, he's not saying you're hungry. He's saying I'm hungry. So if you have a minute, can you do something for me? You say, yeah, it's not my thing. Of course it's not your thing. It's not a religion.
So what is it if it's not a religion? It's what?
It's his need.
So you would not say Judaism is religion. Judaism is, how would you finish that sentence?
The purpose of creation.
Judaism is the purpose of creation.
His purpose.
God's purpose of creation.
Mm-hmm.
And are we empowered to make those decisions as to which mitzvot to practice or not practice, which mitzvot to reject and not, and so on?
I don't know that we reject any mitzvah. If something works for him, it works for him. How would I reject what he needs? I can't tell him what he needs.
He's told us through the Torah and the Talmud and
Right.
so on.
So I can say, this mitzvah I can relate to, so I'll do it. The other mitzvah I can't relate to, so I'm gonna. But I can't reject it. I can't tell the hungry man, no, you're not hungry. You ate last week.
Do you have other questions for the rabbi? Do you agree with everything he said? What do you disagree with? What do you agree with? You guys are very bright. One of the brightest classes I've had, so feel free. This is your chance.
I was going along with it until you said the thing about love.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, we didn't
Yeah.
we didn't
No,
finish that.
I understand it, but if you,
It's a tough one. It's good. Yeah.
I feel like love is something that's like unconditional, or not always, but if you marry someone because you love them, you're agreeing to love them. You have like a mutual feeling, and that doesn't just like you might temporarily be upset with them, but it doesn't mean that you stop loving them.
And my work chapter.
Exactly.
Is it
like-
possible to stop loving someone you love?
I
Yeah.
don't know, I've never been like
Huh?
My what would you add?
Like most people just like would marry someone because they love them, and like I don't really understand how that relates to like not loving them. Like when you get married.
So let me ask you something. A couple come to me as a rabbi, and they say, we are in love. Will you marry us? Will you do the wedding? I said, wait a minute. You already love each other. Why do you have to get married?
It's not a justification for the marriage.
It's not, right?
The marriage.
Huh?
A little bit.
So really the question is If you don't love each other, why are you getting married? If you do love each other, why do you need to get married?
Huh?
Because it's like a sign or like a bond.
And
It makes it like it's comforting to know that you like have that. It's like set.
it's like a pact.
So what does that do? What does a pact do?
Like make sure that they're gonna stay with you.
But you wouldn't. do
Why
that
wouldn't you?
Legal benefits.
if you're not in love?
What?
Legal benefits.
Equal benefits?
Legal.
Legal
Right.
benefits.
Tax,
If
tax.
you're not in love.
If what?
Green card.
If you're not in love, you wouldn't stay together. That's why people get divorced.
So if you're not in love, you won't stay together. So what does the
Well, it
marriage do?
depends.
You're not helping your case.
See, before you're married, you are together because you love each
Why
other.
would you?
Yeah.
If you don't love each other, you're not going to stay together.
If you don't love each
Okay.
other, why?
So
would
what does the
you get
marriage do?
It makes. Well, oh.
See, it's
Why
almost
not?
Consecrates
Why
it,
would you get
formalizes.
married?
Yeah, it formalizes
No, I do not
Yeah.
get
the
married.
relationship.
It's a celebration.
How about that? Formalizes the relationship.
Yeah.
so formalizing it means we're going to stay together even when I don't love you.
Well,
But you always love
If
each
you-
other. You might just have like like
Then you
rough
don't need.
patches.
Then you don't need to
Yeah.
get married.
Why?
Some people don't.
I know.
You
Wait,
wouldn't
That's
stay together
exactly
if
Don't
you're
love
why.
each
married
other,
for
why
a
get
reason.
married?
Huh?
If you don't love each other, why get?
Why
Why,
get
what's the point
married?
of marriage if you don't love each other?
Okay, so the first thing is, you get married only if you believe in marriage, not because you love someone. That makes sense?
Yeah,
But
Because if you don't believe in marriage, don't do it.
Well, yeah.
but it
is believing
sets
in
like
marriage
a
just
like if you love each other and then you get married, it sets like a I don't know
It's like
how to say it, but it's like creates an I have no clue how to say it, but like it's more than just like love. It's
yeah,
like
you're like
love with marriage is like love that you know that you're gonna have if you don't
like a
marry
compliment
you
someone.
spread onto your children.
Then
So-
like they could just leave you in a day and like
But why do you
Something
need the
that-
justification?
if you're agreeing to get married, you love each other enough that you can share your life with each other and not like I don't want to.
Okay, so here's what I'm saying.
Live together,
Each other.
yeah.
So here's what I'm saying. Sharing your life is much bigger than loving each other.
So
I don't know.
maybe
Because
maybe,
life includes hate.
maybe some of the insights of the wedding ceremony itself can help us. When the groom is ready, they're not married until during the wedding ceremony, not when they sign the ketubah, when he gives the ring and he says, Hare at mekudeshet li, that behold, you are now kadosh, holy or consecrated to me, according to the law of Moses and Israel. Does that help at all?
Well,
I don't know.
Hmm?
What do you guys think? Or,
Is that-
Rabbi,
what is the English of that again?
You are mikudesha from the word kadosh, so you become holy. We're entering into holy, which means a unique relationship, different than the relationship we have with anybody else.
Yeah.
And that's part of what marriage is, I think. That's how I would say. I don't know if you would agree or disagree.
So is that something beyond love, more than love?
I think it's different than love, but I don't know if one's more important than the other.
Okay. When you get married, you become husband and wife. Are you now related?
no.
Or like kind of
Kind of?
like I don't know. Because
Okay.
I'm like.
So the truth is that when you get married, you are related to each other more than you're related to your mother.
That makes sense. Yeah, because you're yeah.
Choosing.
So if you hate your mother, she's not your mother anymore?
No.
But you don't hate your mother forever. In the moment you might, but that doesn't mean that you stopped loving her.
You also don't love
So
forever.
why should it be different?
It's a feeling. Right?
Your side of the argument makes a lot of sense.
Huh?
Your side of the argument makes a lot of sense. Like, there's no way to like find a way around it. It's always like, if you love someone, why not get married? But if someone loves you, why do you need to get married?
Yeah, if you're getting married for love and you already have the love, what are you getting married
Yeah,
for?
there's no reason. You already love each
It's
other.
just like
See you.
finalizing it.
So
You're
that's
becoming a family.
You're becoming family. You can hate your family and they're still your
can.
family.
But
You family.
You can, but you're not gonna hate them forever.
Yeah, you
Hopefully.
can hate them for
It's not a long-term thing. Like you can get
Hopefully.
upset with them.
Hopefully.
And then you can
I've never.
So why are people getting divorced at a drop of a hat?
Because they don't love them anymore. They love someone else, or they just
So
Yeah.
all there is was love. So what did you bother getting married for?
to
family.
finalize and like
But you
seal
were
it.
made a mistake.
Oh.
Yeah, to prove to
Yeah,
others that
maybe
you
it's
love
something
them.
that like wasn't destined.
And to
Maybe
prove to
maybe you
each
fell
other
out
that
of
you
love.
love
You
each
can't.
other.
I'm not saying you can't fall out of love.
That's
I'm
right.
just saying that, like,
So if you fall out of love, you're not family anymore?
No.
but you don't love your family the way that you love your significant other.
Hopefully. But they're still your significant other, whether you love them or hate them.
So divorce is just
You know,
not
it's
an
like,
option.
if I marry you, you are my wife, not my feeling. It's more than a feeling.
But if you don't have the feeling, there's like a huge hole.
Yes, it's painful.
So you just can't get divorced, even if you don't like.
No, if you want to break the marriage, you have to get divorced. In other words, you got to break it. But there's something there to break,
Yeah.
not just a feeling.
Yeah, because you built your lives together.
That's right. So what is marriage for? To merge your
Big
life.
circle.
Family.
Yes.
It's to merge your life, not your feelings. Because your feelings are already merged. If you love each other. So what did Golda say to Tevye when he asked, do you love me?
It was also a different time.
Hmm?
I still think that depends on the time a lot. Because they were still in arranged marriages and
But she
things that
says-
had nothing to do
They had
with
no choice.
So
They had no choice.
try to understand their thinking. What did she say? Do I love you?
25 years, cooked for you, slept for you.
Okay, so I guess
Started
it
to
depends
love
what
him.
it depends what your definition of love is.
Okay, good. Here's the definition of real love. Real love is not what I feel.
God.
Real love is, I'm yours. I'm yours. For 25, that's what Gold is saying. For 25 years, I gave myself to you, not just my love. I mean, is there more to me than love?
There's an insight in the word love
I hope.
itself.
Yeah.
Right?
The word love in Hebrew is ahava, and it comes from the word ahev, which means I will give. So what I said before, through giving to each other, doing for each other. One of the other words for love is chiba. Chiba comes from the word chova, which means obligation. The obligation that we feel for each other. Let me ask one last question. I'm not sure, Yoni, how much more time we have?
2 minutes.
2 more minutes. We spoke a little bit last night about in the Fiddler on the Roof, the third child marries out of the faith. Any thoughts about that? Comments about that?
Very sad.
What's that?
Very sad. Hopefully, at the very least, Judaism is a way of living that we want to preserve and we want to follow because it's been wonderful and it's great, and you want your children to follow. So to marry out means pretty much you've given up on that plan, which is very sad. I once asked this woman, if the last spotted owl died, would you be upset?
No.
She said yes. I said, why? She said, because they've been around for so long, and for them to become extinct would be very sad. I said, what if all Jews intermarried and just stopped being Jewish? Would it bother you? She said, no. I said, why not? She says, nothing's forever.
So, if sounds like in both of the segments, I'm sorry, I was part of it. It's all about a purpose, right?
Yes.
Purpose to serve God, bring God to earth. Purpose to build family and give yourself purpose through your relationship, right? If you did not identify as Jewish, does that mean you can't do those things and still bring God and still, do you, I guess what I'm saying is if And then the other part I have about the chosen, right? Chosen can have a positive connotation or potentially a negative connotation if you're not chosen. Right?
You mean if you're lying?
No, if you weren't born Jewish,
Right.
right? So when Jews would say that we are the chosen people, that is implied, if you're not listening right, that you are not chosen, which is hard to deal with, right? But if you still practice and have the similar purposes, right? Where do you stand on that as far as your contribution to bringing God to earth and doing your
Every human being has to help bring God to the world. We were chosen to lead the way or set the tone or carry the message. Or for people to be jealous about that is a little unwarranted. Everybody's got their place. If you know that there's a certain group of people God put into a position of responsibility, why are you jealous? Why don't you go over there and say, can I help you out? What's with the jealousy? I don't know why jealousy is so justified. So if we tell them that we are chosen, they're going to be jealous. Why would they be jealous?
Because they're not. They want to feel special.
Because we are in their knowledge.
I have a brother who is very talented. He's a great singer. I'm not jealous. I'm proud. I like to tell everybody that he's my brother. Right? I'm not trying to be him. So if you know somebody who's chosen and he's your neighbor, why aren't you proud? Why don't you come over and say, you got a big job, can I help you out? That's when we're going to have peace on earth. So every human being has to make the world better. We do it in a Jewish way, which involves 613 mitzvahs. Every human being has to do at least 7 to be a righteous person. So we're all working together. Doesn't mean we have to do the same thing.
So if you're working together with your spouse, right? You're saying that the emotion of love is not necessary.
It's not what makes the marriage, for sure.
Wait, so if love is an emotion and being happy is an emotion, and you're not, so you don't need happiness to have a marriage, I get that, but then why would you ever need to get divorced? If emotions don't matter in a marriage, why would you ever get divorced? Why do people get divorced?
Because he's hitting you?
Because what?
It's hitting or abusing. That's the reason. No, but the answer,
Many
I
more
think,
people get divorced than get divorced
Just
because
but that was his point. In other words, because they think it's all about love, and then if you supposedly no longer have that feeling, and that goes away, then you say, well, what's the point of staying married? And what the rabbi is saying is, but if the relationship is based on more than just love, so to speak, but on substantive kinds of things, then even if there's not that strong feeling, then the relationship itself is worth preserving, if I understand correctly.
Let me give you an interesting...
And then we really need to go in a minute.
Yeah,
So.
let me give you an interesting... You have a brother
okay.
who
I
you
do.
hate,
I don't remember that.
and you have a dog
I don't.
that you love.
Fact.
Now,
I would
your
save-
brother and your dog are drowning,
I would save the dog.
Yep, same.
Save your
joke.
brother.
Save the brother.
Nope, I'd say
but
the
you
dog.
hate the brother.
Yeah, I'd say
No,
the
I
dog.
don't. You don't. You,
I would
Your
say, no, but
sibling.
sibling. I would
Save
say
your
the
brother
dog.
because
Save no,
No,
because
I
they
don't
both
remember
should-
it.
they both-
There's-
if that's
there's
gonna
a
happen
missing
to them,
dog.
then
Both of them.
everything's
There's a
meant
missing
to
dog.
happen,
I'm trying to
so
connect
that's
them, and
meant
it's
to
just
happen.
missing.
So
Just like that.
Both of them.
You gotta
Okay.
save the dog.
Which one
If
should
love
you
the
save
dog,
first?
The person.
You say
There's
your
the
brother
person.
because you
No,
have.
Why would you say
Not
the
the
because
person
you love him.
is Jewish.
No, the
The
person
dog
is
is not.
Person.
So if you're gonna keep the Jewish identity, you
The
say
dogs can be Jewish.
So one second, should you save your brother first because you love him?
No.
You gotta save him first even if you hate him.
No,
Yes.
not
You
necessarily.
have to save the
You
Are you
need to.
kidding?
Okay.
he would not
Oh,
say
wait, if
it.
you have a brother, that means you have parents.
You need to save him first.
How mad do you think your parents would be if you let your brother die because you're trying to save the
It
dong?
doesn't
Okay.
depend
They would kill
on
you.
your
Let
parents.
the dog.
They would
The
kill you.
dog isn't gonna like
Okay, assume
So
your
now,
parents
so
are
I'm
dead.
asking,
If we're talking about
I
Jewish
don't-
identity, you saved your brother.
I just.
You saved your brother because you share more DNA with your brother than you do with a dog,
Hopefully you don't.
and
share
thus you would be
Okay,
passing.
don't bring science into
you'll
this.
be
I
passing
clearly
down.
don't know what this is.
The fact that brother's a person and the dog's a
I
dog.
don't know if
You're
DNA,
related
I like
But all of
dogs
God's
more than I like
brother.
people.
Huh?
I like
All-
dogs
they're all
more than
God's
I like
creatures.
people.
So I think maybe you asked the question, which one is bringing more godliness to earth, your brother or the dog?
The
David's
dog.
got
I
it.
think the
Right?
dog.
David's
The
got
dog.
concept.
no,
So,
no, no,
I just
no,
don't
no.
get this.
no?
I'm just
That
trying to
was good.
figure out,
I like that
where
one.
does love fit in?
You're talking about love.
What is the role of
Back to
love?
love.
Look how arrogant this is. A man says to a woman, "You are the most important person in the world because I love you. If I stop loving you, you're not important anymore."
You're important to that
That
person.
is so arrogant.
You're important to that person, but that doesn't mean that you stop
You're the
being
most
It's
important
just that
person in the
to
world
you.
for them,
Exactly. That's
not
what
just
I
for
said.
the entire world.
Okay, so your husband is not important to you unless you love him.
But you wouldn't be husband and wife unless you love him.
That's not true.
Okay, I don't know.
Husbands and wives often get into very bad relationships.
They started loving each other.
Yes, they started off with love and thought that that was all they needed. And it's not true. That's why they need a marriage.
Golden comments attacked together.
We are married to God. We're not having an affair. So whether we love him or hate him, he's our God. He created the world. He needs something from us. And as soon as you get a chance to do something for him, you do it. That's Jewish. Is that going to get you to heaven? I don't know. Will that make you a saint? Probably not. But yet, it's the most valuable thing you can do. So I would say to God, I don't care if you love me. I'd rather that you need me. No? If you think about the psychology of it, human beings need to be needed much more than they need to be loved. Because a pet, you don't need, you just love. A human being is not a pet. I don't want to be loved, I want to be necessary. Now, when I am necessary, you'll probably love me. And if you don't, I'll still be necessary. So that's when a man starts to feel like he's not necessary in the marriage, that hurts more than if his wife doesn't love him. Because the love can come back. Like you say, right? The hate is always temporary. But if you don't need me, then where do I fit? Where do I belong? So to ask God to love me, I don't really care if he loves me. I just want to make sure that I fit somewhere and I'm part of the plan, part of the. Then, if I really deserve love, I'll probably get some love. And if I don't deserve it, I don't want it. Don't love me for nothing. That doesn't feel good. I'm bad, but you're so good that you love me anyway. Don't be so righteous. So we would much rather earn the love than have it be unconditional. So if you look in the Torah, where does God say, I love you? Like once in one of the prophets? Ohafti eschem amar Hashem. The other times, God says, I need you for this, I need you for this, I need you for this. Then if we do it, he'll love us. If not, he still needs us. So, what are you hoping to find now when you walk around these streets?
God.
Actually, what you're going to find is an entire community that believes that it exists to serve others. And that's why the unique thing about this tour is that you don't just walk past a building and identify it. Like, this is a mikveh. No, you're going to go in there because it's open to you, it's welcoming. You're going to go into, what is it, matzah bakery? Is that working yet? You're going to go into the scribe's office and watch him do his thing. Every door is open. Because we're not here to be religious. We're here to be useful. So make yourself at home.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.